A nerd. A prude. And the seers of her tube. I'll hunt in the jungles of Hipponohungus
And bring back a flock of wild Hipponohungus.
The Hipponohungus from Hipponohungus are better than those down in Dipponodungus and smarter than those out in Hippononungus. And that's why I'll catch them in Hipponohungus instead of those others in Nungus and Dungus. And people will say when they see the Pips bounding,
This new zookeeper is simply astounded.
he traveled so far that you think he would drop.
When do you suppose this young fellow will stop?
Stop? Well, I should, but I won't stop until I've captured the Fizzamadillo.
The world's biggest bird from the island of Warp. Only pine trees. Then spits out the bark. Boy, when I get him back to my park.
The whole world will say,
Young Hebrews made his mark. He's built to suit better than Noah's whole ark.
these wonderful, marvelous beasts that he chooses have made him the greatest of all the Magruses.
Wow!
They'll all cheer.
What this zoo must be worth. It's the gold-darned zoo on the face of the earth.
Yes, that's what I'll do, said young Gerald McGrew. I'd make a few changes if I ran the zoo.
Dr. Seuss. No.
That guy looks like a reindeer.
He sure does.
That guy looks like a reindeer.
He does look like a
I looks
reindeer.
like a reindeer. That looks like a reindeer.
Right. It does look like a
I see a Dr. Seuss thing.
whatever you think.
I see
Oh, you can go up close.
Check out the Seuss.
Like that here. So, however you want. Because our kids will be up on the stage. Come on, Derek, Anne, Michaela.
We are so happy to be here. These are 8th graders and 6th graders who love to read. And every year they put on a show of famous authors or poets. And they learn to memorize the words of good writers and then present them for an audience. So we would like to show you a couple of stories by a famous writer called Dr. Seuss. Have you ever heard of him? Dr. Seuss. Maybe you recognize some of these covers. Maybe you've read The Cat in the Hat. Okay? Or maybe you've read Green Eggs and Ham. Okay. Maybe you've read either Horton Hears a Who or Horton Hatches the Egg. Okay. Some of these others, I don't know if they're as famous to you, so what we'd like to do is share 2 of the stories with moose we're going to do for you today. And to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street. Cat in the Hat, hunches and bunches. If I ran the zoo, and this is another one we're going to do for you today, you're please together. So today, we'll just do the two that I told you about. But I also want to tell you, some of these books are really good ones when you start to learn to read. They're really good ones to help you learn to read. So when you notice them maybe in the library, maybe you'll want to get them out. Okay, 8th graders, how about if we put all posters on the side over here? And get ready for the introduction. Yeah.
To a Seuss parade.
Dr. Seuss has entertained children of all ages for generations. His own book,
Oh, say can you say, portrays Seuss's skillful
Super,
style. Let us show you what we mean.
said a book-reading parrot named Huey.
The words in this book are all phooey. When you say them, your lips
Will make slips,
and backflips, and your tongue may end up in St. Louis.
Oh, say can you say the way we say what Sue says?
We have 2 ducks, one blue, one black. When our blue duck goes quack, quack, our black duck quickly quack, quacks back. The quack's blue quacks makes her quite a quacker, but black is a quicker quacker quacker. And speaking of quacks, reminds me of cracks and stacks and sacks and shacks and snacks. So, oh say can you say, I have cracks in my shack, I have smoke in my stack, and I think there's a snack in the sack on my back.
Dr. Seuss's proficient process of producing pretend people appears professional.
Pete breaks past pigs, breaks past pig pigs, breaks past big pigs. Don't ask me why, it doesn't matter. Pete breaks is a big pig, pink pig pattern. Pete breaks pigs is big pink pigs all day. Don't ask me why, I cannot say. Then Pete puts his pattern pigs away, and his Pete breaks pink pigs, big pigs pig pen.
Dr. Seuss's humor is outrageous, ludicrous, and outlandish.
Bed spreader spreads bread on beds. Bread spreader spread butter on breads. And that bed spreader better watch out how he's spreading, or that bread spreader's sure going to butter his bedding.
Dr. Seuss's ridiculous rhymes and wild, wacky words show he really is a master of poetry.
As he gobbled the cakes on his plate, the greedy ape said as he ate, the greener green grapes are, the keener keen apes are. To gobble green grape cakes, they're great. Are you having trouble in saying this stuff? It's really quite easy for me. I just look in the mirror and see what I say, and then I just say what I see.
His alliteration appeals to audiences of all ages.
If you like to eat potato chips and chew pork chops on clipper ships, I suggest you chew a few chips and a chop at Skipper Zip's clipper ship, chip chop shop.
Dr. Seuss, what a wizard.
There are so many things that you really should know, and that's why I'm bothering telling you so. You should know the first names of the Fudnugger brothers, who like to pile each on the heads of the others. If you start at the top, there are Bipper and Bud, and Skipper and Dipper, and Jeffrey and Judd, Horatio, Horace, and Hendrix and Hud, and then come Dint, Woody, and Dinty and Dud. Also Fitzsimmons and Frederick and Fudd, and Slinky and Stinky and Stewart and Stud, and down at the bottom is poor little Lud. But if Lud ever sneezes, his name will be Mud.
His wizardly way of wording words teaches wisdom wisely.
Fritz needs Fred, and Fred needs Fritz. Fritz feeds Fred, and Fred feeds Fritz. Fred feeds Fritz with Fritzy's Fred food. Fritz feeds Fred with Fritzy's Fritz food. And Fritz with Fed has often said, I'm a Fred-fed Fritz. Fred's a Fred, Fritz-fed Fred.
The rhymes, the rhythm, it sings, it rings, the melody flows with ridiculous things.
Like a babbling brook.
If you wish to watch Soup off the road, simply scrub it with scrub. Scrub is so strong that no rope is too long. But if you wish to watch Soup off the boot, I suggest that it's best to make a whole silly
glots, you notice, have lots of black spots. But the clots is quite different with lots of black dots. But the big problem is that the spots on a glot are about the same size as the dots on a clots. So you first have to spot who the one with the dots is. It's easier to tell who the glots or the clots is.
Dr. Seuss puts words together in a way to make the rhymes fun to say.
Ringing, rhyming, it's exciting, keeps you going, it's not boring.
Upon an island hard to reach, the East Beach sits upon its beach.
Upon the west beach sits the west beach, each with its beast and sees the best beast.
Which beast is best? Well, at first I thought the East was the best and the West was the worst.
Then I looked again from the west to the east, and I like the beast on the east beach least.
A walrus with whiskers is not a good pet. A walrus which whispers is worse even yet. When a walrus whispers through tough white whiskers, it makes your poor daddy's ears get whiskers and whispers.
And that's almost enough.
Of such stuff for one day.
Just wait till you hear what our school has to say.
And then you'll say what we say about Seuss today.
Oh, say, Dr. Seuss, how you say what you say. To be well-mannered guests.
Our story is Fiddly, the big-hearted moose.
Up at Lake Winnebago, the far northern shore,
There's a huge herd of moose, about 60 or more.
And they all go around in a big happy bunch.
Looking for nice tender moose moss to munch.
up at Lake Winnebago, one day they were lunching.
Just strolling around and enjoying their munching.
For the moose moss that day was especially fine. When it happened at Fidwick, the last moose in line.
Saw a bingo bug sitting.
The bug called out,
Hey, it's such a long road, and it's such a hot day. Would you mind if I rode on your horns for a way?
Of course not.
Smiled the big-hearted moose.
I'm happy my antlers can be of some use. There's room there to spare, and I'm happy to share. Be my guest, and I hope very comfortable there.
So the bingo bug picked out a nice easy seat.
And the moose went on looking for moose moss to eat.
well,
An hour or so later,
The bug heard a squeak.
And he heard the small voice.
of a tree spider speak.
I say,
said the spider,
you have such a nice face. That moose seems quite friendly. It has such a nice face. If I get on too, do you think you and I hop aboard?
Laughed the bug.
And I think you'll find that the moose won't object. He's the big-hearted kind. I accept.
Said the spider.
But giant is light.
And he started a web.
on the horn to the right.
While the spider was spinning, he heard a gay song.
And a fresh little zinazoo bird came along.
He stopped, and he stared, and he chirped.
Well, well, well! What a smart place to build! What a great place to dwell! I've been living on trees ever since I was born. But here's something new. Why not live on a horn? If there's room there for two, then there's room there for three.
There's plenty of room,
Laughed the bug.
and it's free.
Fidwick stopped walking.
What was all that talking?
These guests had caught Fidwick the moose unawares.
Hey!
He called out.
What goes on there upstairs?
Just building a nest, sir.
Zinazoo said.
And began yanking hairs out of poor Thidwick's head.
And he plucked out exactly 204.
Don't worry, he laughed. You can always grow more.
Then he dozed off to sleep in his fine moose-haired nest.
This bird
Murmured Thidwick.
is sort of a pest.
But I'm a good sport, so I'll just let him rest.
For a host above all must be nice to his guests.
Besides now, it's getting quite late in the day.
And surely tomorrow they'll all go away.
But alas, the next morning,
The sun's early light.
Brought to Fidwick's sad eyes.
A most unwelcome sight.
Meet my wife.
said the bird,
I was married last night. And perhaps, by the way, I should mention to you that her uncle is coming to live with us too. You're a very fine host, so I knew you'd be willing.
Then the uncle, a woodpecker,
Started in drilling.
All Thidwick's friends shouted.
Get rid of those pests.
I would, but I can't.
sobbed poor Fidwick.
They're guests.
Yes, indeed.
his friends answered, and all of them frowned.
If those are your guests, we don't want you around. You can't stay with us because you're just not our sort.
And they all turned their backs and walked off with a snort.
Now the big, friendless moose walked alone and forlorn.
With 4 great big woodpecker holes in his horn.
What holes?
Whispered Hermit, a squirrel who spied him.
What holes to hide nothing? Mind if I try them?
They're yours, while the woodpecker get right inside them. This big-hearted moose runs a public hotel. Bring your nuts, bring your wife, bring your children as well.
So the whole squirrel family all jumped down pell-mell.
And the very next thing the poor animal knew,
A bobcat and turtle were living there too.
Now what was the big-hearted moose going to do?
Well, what would you do?
if it happened to you.
You couldn't say scat, because that wouldn't be right.
You couldn't shout scram, because that isn't polite.
For a host must put up with all kinds of pests.
For a host, above all, must be nice to his guests.
So you try hard to smile, and you try to look sweet.
And you go right on looking for moose moss to eat.
But now it was winter, and that wasn't easy.
For moose moss gets scarce when the weather gets freezy.
The food was soon gone on the cold northern shore.
Of Lake Winnebago, there just was no more.
And all Thibet's friends swam away in a bunch.
Bye-bye.
To the south of the lake, where there's moose moss to munch.
He watched the herd leaving, and then they would do.
He'd starve if he stayed here. He had to go too.
He stepped into the water. Then, oh, what a fuss!
Stop!
Screamed his guests.
You can't do this to us! These horns are our home, and you've no right to take our home to the far distant side of the lake.
Be fair.
Didwick begged with a lump in his throat.
We're fair.
Said the frog.
We'll decide this by vote. All those in favor of going say A. All those in favor of staying say nay.
Eh? Shouted Thidrick.
But when he was done,
Nay!
They all yelled. He lost. 11-1.
We win!
Screamed the guests.
By a very large score.
and poor starving Thidwick climbed back on the shore.
And then, do you know what those pests did?
They asked in some more.
They asked in a fox who jumped in from the trees.
They asked in some mice, and they asked in some fleas.
They asked a big bear in, and then, if you please,
Came a swarm of 362 bees.
Poor Thidrick sank down with a groan to his knees.
And then came something that made his heart freeze.
bullets came zinging right past Thidrick's face.
Guns were bang-binging all over the place.
Get that moose! Get that moose!
Thidrick heard a voice call.
Fire again and again and shoot straight one and all. We must get this head from the Harvard Club wall.
Thidwick took to his heels with that load on his head.
With 500 pounds on his horns, the moose fled.
He could have run fast if it weren't for those pests.
But a host above all must be nice to his guests.
Up canyon, off cliff, over wild rocky trail.
With bullets bouncing around him like hail.
Up gully, through gulch, and down slippery sluice.
With this hard-hearted guest race a soft-hearted moose.
Then finally, they had him.
Because of those pests, he had run out of luck.
Because of the guests on his horns, he was stuck.
He gasped. He felt faint. The whole world grew fuzzy.
Thidwick was finished, completely.
Or was he?
Finished?
Not Thidrick.
Decidedly not.
It's true, he was in a most terrible spot.
But now he remembered the thing he forgot.
A wonderful something that happens each year.
To the horns of all moose and the horns of all deer.
Today was the day.
Thidwick happened to know.
That the old horns come off so that the new ones can grow.
And he called to the pests on his horns as he drew them.
You wanted my horns, now you're quite welcome to them. Keep them, they're yours. As for me, I shall take myself to the far distant side of the lake.
And he swam Winnebago and found his old bunch.
And arrived just in time for a wonderful lunch.
At the south of the lake where there's moose moss to munch.
His old horns today are
Where you knew they would be.
His guests are still on them.
All stuffed as they should be.
capture stranger animals than the common ones in just any old zoo. So Dr. Seuss makes up new animals. Listen carefully to hear the new wild-sounding name. Gerald also imagines how all the people will be amazed by his zoo. Our story is called If I Ran the Zoo. It's a pretty good zoo, said young Gerald McGrew. And the fellow who runs it seems proud of it too. But if I ran the zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, I make a few changes. That's just what I do. The lions and tigers and that kind of stuff they have up here are not quite good enough. You see things like these in just any old zoo. They're awfully old-fashioned. I want something new. So I open each page and unlock every pen. Let the animals go and start over again. And somehow or other, I think I could find some beast of a more unusual kind. A 4-foot lion's not much of a beast. The one in my zoo will have 10 feet at least. 5 legs on the left and 5 more on the right. And people would stare and they'll say, what a sight! This new zookeeper, Gerald's quite keen. That's the gold-darnest lion I ever have seen. My new zoo will make people talk. My new zoo will make people look at the strangest odd creatures that ever did walk. I'll get for my zoo a new sort of a hen who roosts in another hen's top round and then another one roosts in the top round of his and another in his and another in his and so forth and upward and outward, gee whiz. But that's just a start. I'll do better than that. They'll see the next day in my zookeeper's hat coming into my zoo with an elephant cat. They'll be so surprised they'll all swallow their gum. They'll ask when they see my strange animals come.
Where do you suppose he gets things like that from? His animals all have such very odd faces. I'll bet he must hunt them in rather odd places.
And that's what I'll do, said young Gerald McGrew. If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go places quite out of the way. You have to go places no others can get to. You have to get cold and you have to get wet too. Up past the North Pole where the frozen winds squeal. I'll go hunting my ski-go-mobile and bring back a family of what do you know? And that's how my new zoo will grow. I'll hunt in the mountains of Zombamatant with hopers who all wear their eyes at a slant.
And find something bird called the bustard, who only eat custard with sauce made of mustard.
And also a very fine beast called Bustard, who only eats mustard, sauce made of custard.
I'll catch him in pennies. I'll catch him in brooks. I'll catch him in pennies. I'll catch him in nooks that you don't read about in geography books. I'll catch him in countries that no one can spell, like the country Matapapatapapel. In a country like this, if a hunter is clever, they'll hunt up some beasts that you never saw ever.
I'll load up 5 boats with a family of goats, whose feet are like cows but wear squirrel skin coats.
And sit down like dogs, but have voices like goats.
Except they can't see very high notes. And then I'll go down to the wild Nantucket and capture a family of lumps in a bucket. Then people will say, now I like that boy heaps. His new zoo, the Brew Zoo, is growing by leaps.
He captures them wild and he captures them
those horns that he has on his head. And speaking of horns, they're just a bit queer. I'll bring back a very odd family of deer. A father, a mother, two sisters, a brother, whose horns are connected from one to the other. Whose horns are so mixed, they can't tell them apart. Can't tell where they end, and can't tell where they start. Each deer is mighty puzzled. He's never yet found if his horns are first or the other way around. I'll capture them fat and capture them scrawny. I'll capture a scraggle for mulligatawny. A high-stepping animal, fast as the wind. In the blistering sand, the desert of Zin. This beast is the beast, the brave, the bride. When they want to go fast, find somewhere to hide. A mulligatawny is fine for my zoo, and so is a chieftain. I'll bring one back too. In the far western part of South, East, North Dakota lives a very fine animal called the Iota. But I'll capture one who's even much finer in the northeastern west part of South Carolina. When people see him, they will say, "Now by thunder, this new zoo in Birchwood is really a wonder." Most beasts are quite friendly, but still in some lands, some beasts are too dangerous to catch with bare hands. For those are the ugly and vicious and mean. I'll build a big animal catching machine. It's rather expensive to build such a kit, but with it a hunter can never get bit. A zoo should have bugs! So I'll catch a drill, whose legs are snarled up in their terrible snout. And then I'll go out and I'll capture some chugs, some means, your kings, your bean shooter bugs. I'll go to the African island of Yurka and bring back a tin-top touching mazurka, a kind of canary with quite a tall throat. His neck is so long, he swallows oat. Breakfast the first day of April, they say. It has to go down. It's a very long way. That gets to his stomach in 15 minutes. I'll bag a big bug who is very surprising. A feller who has a propeller horizon and zooming around making cross-country hops from Texas to Boston with only 2 stops. Now that sort of thing for a bug is just tops. And when I caught him, the next thing you know, I'll go and I'll capture a wild tic-tac-toe.
With X's that win and zeros that lose, he'll look mighty good in the zoo of McCruise. XO, XO.
I'll bring back a gusset, a gherkin, a gasket, and also a goose from the wilds of Nantasket. And 8 virgin princes will carry the basket. But what their names are, I don't know, so don't ask it. In a cave in Khartoum lives a beast called the Net that no other hunter's been able to catch.
He's hidden for years in a cave with a pouch, and no one's been able to make him come out. But I'll coax him out with a wonderful meal
That's cooked by my cooks in my cooker-mobile. I'll fix up a dish that is just to his taste.
3 chicken croquettes made of library paste.
Then sprinkle with peanut shells. Pickled with spice.
Been baked at 600 degrees and then iced.
It's mighty hard cooking to cook up to the feast.
But
That's how my new zoo and Bruce will feast.
Yummy.
I'll go to the faraway mountains of tops.
near the river of knobs, and I'll bring back an ox, a kind of a sort of a thingamabob, who only eats rhubarb and corn on the cobs. Then people will flock to my zoo
king of bugs as the crashing Paluski, whose head ski is spread to get whose belly is east. I'll get one of them for my Brewski McBrewski.
Then the whole town will gasp. Boy never sleeps. No peeper before ever kept what he keeps.
No telling what this young fellow will do.
And then just to show them, I'll sail to the troop and bring back an egg hutch, a breeze, a nurgle, a nerd, a prue, and a seersucker too. I'll hunt in the jungles of Hippo-no-Hungus.
And bring back a wild flock of Hippo-no-Hungus.
The Hippo-no-Hungus from Hippo-no-Hungus are better than those down in Dippo-no-Dungus, and smarter than those out in Dippo-no-Nungus, and that fellow pets them in Hippo-no-Hungus, instead of those others in Nungus and Dungus. Then people will say when they see the bits bounding, this new keeper is simply astounding. He travels so far that you think he would drop. When do you suppose this young fellow will stop? Stop? Well, I should, but I won't stop until I capture the Fizz-a-ma-Whizz-a-ma-dill.
The world's biggest bird from the island of Wark, who only pine trees, then spits out the bark. Boy, when I get him back to my park,
The whole world will say,
Young Hebrews made his mark.
he's built the zoo better than Noah's whole ark. These wonderful, marvelous beasts that he chooses have made him the greatest of all the bruises.
Wow!
They'll all cheer. What this zoo must be worth. It's the gold-darnest zoo on the face of the earth. Yes, that's what I'll do.